Welcome, welcome to the monthly DORR educational breakfast. It's good to see everybody. We have a full house today, which is wonderful. Thank you for coming. My name is Ellen Ferreira. I'm the president of Democrats of the Red Rocks, and I'm proud to be so. Do we have any first timers here today? Okay, we have one first timer. That's good. So welcome. Good to see everybody. Before we get started, I want to thank our staff who continuously helps with these breakfasts every single month. Jeff, always there.
I want to hear them.
And Shelley Hagan, who is at her computer at home monitoring the people that are coming to us via Zoom. So thank you, Shelley, and thank you, Jeff, for doing what you do. I want to acknowledge that we have two city councilors in the room today, Kathy Kinsella, who has risen through the ranks, brand new mayor of Sedona, Holly Klug. Take your first bite. We would like to present this to you to congratulate you for becoming our new mayor. We think you are just what the city needs.
Yes.
Yes, you will lead us through this time of healing with faith and with poise.
Well, we're obviously the only.
And so we thank you. You're the right person for the right at the right time. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. And I call on you. Make sure you answer the phone. Thank you and welcome, everybody. Before we start these breakfasts, I usually give a few words of where we are in the state or the country right now. And things are getting more and more dire and harder and harder to put up with. And we are sort of witnessing nothing short of a hostile takeover of our government, not just by the administration, but by the Republicans in Congress. We're seeing a war waged against American citizens, something nobody ever thought would be possible, something we never thought we could see. Our First Amendment rights are being trampled. Other rights that are entitled to us in the Constitution are being trampled. People are afraid to go protest. We are told that the people who are protesting tomorrow are un-American, when it is exactly the opposite. The people that you will see in the streets tomorrow for the No Kings rally are there out of love of country. They are patriots. They are not wearing masks. They are not hurting people. They are not evil. They are peacefully expressing their concern about what is happening to this country that they no longer recognize. And hopefully it probably will be the largest protest this country has ever seen. What we need is people who are brave to come out. Courage is contagious. When you see your neighbor going, you think, okay, I could go. I can do that. That's fine. We're so upset with the political retribution against states, against democratic states, trying to find more Republican districts. They're holding our healthcare hostage. They're taking food from school children. They're protecting pedophiles. It just goes on and on. You don't need me to tell you what's happening in this country, but I just want to say that if you can make it to the No Kings protests tomorrow, please do. We're supposed to wear yellow. There are two protests in Sedona, one in the village of Oak Creek, which will be a little smaller, and then the larger one, which will start off at Sunset and 89A and march down to Soldier Pass, come back to the Veterans Park, where there will be a short rally. But if you can make it, please do. And if you can't make it, please stay informed. Keep staying informed. DORR puts out this, we have the little card which is out front, reliable resources. that you can read, that places that we trust, authors that we trust, please look at those and see, keep yourself up to date about what is happening, because it is really overwhelming. We've got a couple of things on the horizon, good things, fun things. Next weekend, the 25th, Saturday, the 25th, at a private home in Sedona, we're having a fundraising reception for our Attorney General, Chris Mays, who we love. Chris Mays has been amazing. In fact, that's sort of the theme of our party, M-A-Y-E-S, sing, amazing. And we want to surprise her, and we're going to make it a really beautiful event. If you haven't seen an invitation through the DORR website or a DORR mailing list, you can go onto our homepage of our website and find out all the information. It is a fundraiser, and she is helping to save democracy. So when you make your contribution, please do it with that in mind. It will be at 3:00 in Sedona, and
You'll get the address when
you'll get the address once you register. Right, exactly. The weekend after that is DORR's having a fundraiser, and we don't do many fundraisers, as you know. We do dances because I insist we do dances. We had our last Resist dance in May, and that was a great success. But now we need to gear up for next year, and it is not going to be an easy year. We need to defend the governor's seat, the Secretary of State, Attorney General. We need to elect a Democrat from Congressional District 2. We have the Corporation Commission, which is a statewide position. We have the Superintendent of Education. A lot of these events are coming. A lot of these races are happening next November, 1 year out. And so DORR holds these parties. DORR is not holding them. Our members are holding them in their homes because we are now 1 year out from that election. I didn't forget about you, Sandy. We also have the state legislature that we have to split our 3 seats in the state legislature. We have parties happening all over the Verde Valley within the first 2 or 3 weeks of November. And these are held by generous people in our community who have opened their homes. For example, Laura Jones, who was a city councilor in Clarkdale, she is having a Sunday brunch. If you have never been in one of those old miners' homes in Clarkdale, they're very cool. And you get to go in one and have brunch at Laura's house. We have a high tea in West Sedona that will be a lot of fun. We have an Italian food theme party called Pasta La Vista, baby. And so for $40, you can go to any of these parties, sign up again on the DORR website. There was a notice that went out to DORR members this morning, again, reminding you about the parties. We do these so that we don't have to come to you with our hand out all the time asking for money. We don't like to do that. I personally hate doing that. So please come and have fun in exchange for your donation. We would love that. Okay, and now I'm announcing something for the first time because it was just confirmed yesterday that our Senator, Mark Kelly, is coming to Sedona for a meet and greet, not a fundraiser, a meet and greet, where we can go and talk to him. It will be at, I know, nobody's asking for money. It will be at 3:30.
Although he wouldn't refuse it.
3:30 to 4:30 at El Portal on Thursday, November the 13th. So please come and meet our senator. We will start doing some publicity about this, but we're just running as fast as we can right now. I haven't gotten anything out yet.
He is having a fundraiser the following night.
He is having a,
Sedona.
yeah, he is having a fundraiser the following night, but we haven't seen anything about that, so we'll probably announce that. Not only will he be having that fundraiser, I believe that Senator John Ossoff from Georgia may be with him.
Yeah. Really? Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
What time did you say that was?
That will be at 3:30 at El Portal. Steve Segner and Connie Segner have been so generous with their facility and letting us use that. So thank you. Okay, let's get on with our program. When was the last time you met a real live fire chief? The last time I did was when my son was about 8, and I took him with his class to the firehouse. And that was in Northern Virginia. So today we are honored to have Ed Mezulis, who is the fire chief of the city of Sedona. He started with the city in 2020, and he worked his way up from being a firefighter / EMT. And that gives him a certain background that a lot of fire chiefs may not have. He combines the medical knowledge with the safety knowledge and has put that to good use and brings that to help our community and keep us all safe. He became fire chief in 2022 and is doing a great job. And so he will be here to talk to us, and then feel free to ask him questions. After that, I'm going to introduce you to Sandy Zalecki, who is running in LD1, our legislative district, for the Arizona State Legislature. She is running for the House of Representatives in the Arizona State Legislature. So she will talk to you and ask you to sign her petition to get her on the ballot officially. So welcome, Fire Chief.
Hello.
Nice to have
Good morning. Excuse me. We got a little sinus thing running through our house. There's a map that I handed out, and we'll reference that in a bit. As stated, my name's Ed Mezulis. I've been with the district for 25 years, and the first part of my presentation is interactive. So you guys are going to have to do some work. Well, we're going to start with this. Who's been in Sedona, lived in Sedona longer than 5 years? 10. 15, 20. All right. Okay. So I started doing that. I try to get around a lot of HOA groups, political groups, anybody I can get into to just talk about our district and kind of give updates and teach folks kind of what we're about. And your intro was perfect because I'm not picking on you, but you misstated some things, and it's part of why I'm doing this. And what she did is she said I'd been with the city's fire department for many years, and we are not affiliated with the city. So Sedona Fire is a special taxing district of Yavapai and Coconino County. And how a majority of our funding for service is through assessed evaluation mill rate on your property taxes. And then we've got some additional revenue sources with ambulance billing, and we rent some of our tower space to the cell phone companies, and then miscellaneous grants and things like that. And what a special taxing district means is we're like a school district or a water district. And in Arizona, you have these fire districts. Now, I want to say we have a wonderful relationship with the city, and we work with them at many different levels. But a lot of people misunderstand that, assuming a lot of people come from larger municipalities where the fire department, the police department's all municipal, and that would be a fire department, and we're a fire district. And what that allows us to do is provide service for the incorporated and unincorporated areas around town. And you can see on this map here, it's a bit difficult to see, but you'll see a red polygon and then you'll see a blue polygon. And that red polygon is our fire district boundaries. So we cover Oak Creek Canyon, the village of Oak Creek, the loop roads, Sedona proper. And then you'll see a blue polygon on there. That is our ambulance service area. And in Arizona, it's statutory. Oh, perfect. You are a good tech guy. And this blue area is our certificate of necessity. Now it's a statutory requirement in Arizona that ambulance providers file for a certificate of necessity to serve an area. And I'm proud to say we had some really aggressive volunteer citizens back in the day. And Sedona Fire, being this smaller rural fire district, has CON #1 for the state. So one of the big hard chargers, a woman lives in the village still, her name's Giddy Sylvan, and she aggressively pursued getting our CON to serve this community back in the 80s. And so kind of cool. You'd think it'd be a Phoenix fire or a Tucson fire, but it's Sedona Fire has CON number 1. But as you can see, our CON boundary goes way out into the wilderness, and it also covers all of the fire district as well. So I wanted to talk about governance. That was we are in interesting times here in this country. And I kind of wanted to talk about, so to the general public, I'm the fire chief and I do firefighter stuff. I really don't. A lot of the fires I put out are on my desk. And, but I love it. I spent a lot of years on the fire truck and a lot of years with Sedona Fire. And my job is very political in nature. I do a lot of work with the county supervisors, the local legislators, and I meet regularly with the mayors in the Verde Valley, the town managers, and the electeds. And it's important because the collective energy that we can and the change we can affect locally if we all work together, for me, matters. And not to ignore what happens higher up, but if we're able to come together as communities and do good for our communities at a local level, I feel like I'm providing a service, if that makes sense. And specific to Sedona Fire, I mentioned we're a special taxing district. We are governed by 5 elected residents. And so to be a fire board member, you have to be a resident and you have to be of voting age. And there's a few other requirements. And I think Helen slid in there in the back. Helen is our board chair. I don't know, I don't want to speak for Helen, but I think it's a pretty cool, if you want to get involved with local politics, it's a pretty cool way to do it because, and I'm going to throw a jab at the city council. We're not in the paper a lot, the fire district. So it's a fun way to serve, and Al has served on our board. Please, Al.
I was just gonna say, of all the things you could run for office and get elected, this is the best one in town. Being on the fire board is not mentally taxing to the point where it takes over your life. You show up at the meetings and you listen to the administration talk about what they've done for the last month and where they're going in the future. And what's amazing is they answer 99% of all the questions that a board member would ever have. So it's a great job, and there is an opening next year, right?
There is. We will have an opening next a year this November. So that's part of my plug too. I want to.
Diana Christensen is on the board.
Diana
She was
Christensen,
our vice president.
Diana's on the board. We've got Scott Springett, we got Lance Waldrop, Helen McNeil, and then Corey Cooperman, who's not going to be running again. And so I think a lot of those names are familiar. But last thing I wanted to talk about specific to our governance, as I stated, we've got an elected 5-member board. And it's great. We unofficially try to solicit folks that live throughout our district. So not everybody lives in West Sedona and not everybody lives in the village, but you can't, if you're involved in politics in this town, you know, it's like pulling teeth to get anybody to run for office. So sometimes we get who we can get. We've been very fortunate to have really engaged board members. And the other thing that's unique to being a fire district is we have to provide our own human resource services, our own finance services, our own IT services, our own fleet services. We're essentially all the services the city provides for human resource management, and finance, we have to provide in-house. So that's what's unique to being a special taxing district. With that, I kind of wanted to talk about our district. You know, the fire district is about 168 square miles. That's a lot of area, but our ambulances cover almost 275 square miles. So it's a big area, and we do have partnering agencies in Verde Valley and Copper Canyon that help us out a lot. But we've got 5 stations that we staff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And station 1's over here in West Sedona, and we have an engine and an ambulance staffed there. We've got station 4 in Uptown Sedona, which I'll talk more about in a minute. And there's an engine and an ambulance, and then the daily duty officer is out of that station. Sorry?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. And then station 5 is in Oak Creek Canyon. Station 6 is in the chapel. Both of them have a fire engine. Station 6 has an ambulance. And in the village of Oak Creek, we've got a fire engine and an ambulance at that station 3. we respond to about 5,000 calls for service a year, and those are out in the mountains or in your home or on the street. It's we do everything. We provide all the paramedics, and like I said, the ambulances for the community, fire suppression, rescue. It's kind of if you see a fire truck, think of it as a big Craftsman toolbox. Maybe that's why they're red, but it's people always ask, why does a fire truck come to a medical emergency? Well, in today's America, there's a couple things. Not all people are built the same. And sometimes we want to be delicate if you're injured. And if you're more difficult to move, we have more people to do it. Second to that, with a cardiac arrest, for example, 5 people is barely enough to get the job done. And if you've ever been in hospital, you know, they'll have upwards of 10 people working on a cardiac arrest. So we staff to the needs of the community. And public safety and outreach programs. This is one thing I like to bring up to our community. You know what the number one problem or the number one call for service we get in Sedona is? Anybody have a guess?
Changing the
Smoke detectors.
smoke detector.
Close. Somebody said falls. Yeah, we call it gravitational injuries. I don't want to get into crystals or vortexes or altitude or what have you, but the gravity is strong in Sedona. And what we have seen a lot and why we do a smoke detector program, a lot of people say, well, that's a waste of services. The way we look at it is like, we won't rewire it for you because we're not electricians, but we want to keep the batteries good and the system operational because we want you to be safe and we want you to be alerted to a fire. And secondary to that, if we don't do that, the potential for you to fall off a ladder increases, and then we have more fall injuries. And it's a way to reduce or attempt to reduce our number one call is if we can do things to prevent falls, then we can reduce those injuries. And once you're north of 70, 75 years old, a knee or hip fracture can be the determining factor in your life quickly degrading. It's one of the biggest things because those injuries are hard to heal from. So we do our smoke detector program. We do a lot of community education and firewise assessments. And wildfire is not a big deal anymore because the summer was quiet. I'm joking. It's still a huge deal in this community. But I was going to a homeowners group a week right after Palisades. And then as predicted, as it happened with the slide fire and the La Barranca fire in the village, and the interest peaked, the concern peaked, and then it leveled off. So that's another reason why I'm getting out here. I want to remind everybody that we have folks that'll come out and assess your neighborhood, assess your home, and give you good mitigating strategies and steps to better prepare your house against wildfire. And I want to keep that topic at the top of the list because it is an important issue for Sedona. We are surrounded by national forest. And with that, we do partner heavily with the Department of Forestry and Fire Management, with the state and the U.S. Forest Service, and we're working on a lot of initiatives to assist them and have them assist us based on our feedback to help mitigate wildfire emergencies in this community. And then the other big service that we provide is CPR training. About 15 years ago, Dr. Babro at the University of Arizona developed and pushed a method of CPR called hands-only CPR. Has anybody heard of that? Hands-only CPR. So it's essentially you get on the chest and you do 100 compressions per minute, and you can use any metronome beat song. I like "Staying Alive" from the Bee Gees. That's my favorite CPR song. Yes, I have sang it on many occasions in many homes in Sedona to myself as I'm doing CPR. But the reason I bring that up is a lot of you folks, as you've gone through your careers, the potential exists that you had like the traditional 15-2, the breath, CPR and all that. And what they've proven with hands-only CPR is that 100 compressions per minute moves the blood. And it also just passively, you're compressing the chest. So it's moving air in the lungs. And they were finding that people weren't giving breaths to strangers because a lot of times with CPR, there's vomit, there's blood, there's things like that. So it wasn't effective anyway. So a lot of people think, oh, we don't want to go through a whole full day CPR class. Well, our hands-only CPR class is only an hour. And so we can do it really fast. And there's not a fancy card, but we like to get that information out there. And Yeah, like that's the gist of my presentation. I really wanted to just kind of cover who we are and what we are, because there's a lot of misunderstandings. We get asked all the time, do you work well with the Village of Oak Creek Fire Department? Yeah, that's us. I want to cover one more thing and I'll answer questions. And the other one is always it just, do you guys like the ambulance company here? I'm like, yeah, we are the ambulance. And what the ambulance provides for us is we staff it with firefighters. So we have those additional resources on a fire scene. And then selfishly, us staffing the ambulances ensures we control the continuity and quality of care from when you call 911 to getting you to the hospital. And nothing against private ambulance companies, but it's a different structure on how they operate, and they have a revolving door of employees, and we don't have a retention problem at Sedona Fire. In fact, we just rehired a guy that left a couple of years ago because he wants to come back to our culture. So we don't have our retention issues. So we keep train and hone the skills of quality people. I just want to give a couple quick updates on the district, how we're spending your money, and then I'll open up for questions. So quick history. The crash of the late 2008 era, then we had a board that was less interested in the service we provided for a while. Is that a safe way to put it out?
Yeah, money, they saw money as the issue, not service.
Yes, and so we have a fire station in Uptown we've been trying to rebuild since 1996. And through the early 2000s, the district governing board was diligent about saving money to replace that station. The recession hit. We had a board that didn't align with the previous philosophies, and then spent down those dollars to offset the cost of running the district, and station didn't get built. And then in 2016, we went out for a bond recognizing we needed to build that station. The bond didn't pass. So our governing board at that time decided to start putting money away so that we could build this station that we've known we needed for 30 years plus. And I'm happy to say that we are in the midst of getting plans drawn to get that station built. Worked with the city late last year to acquire a new piece of property in Uptown Sedona. And we will soon be getting out to the public some renderings and some drawings to evaluate on that station in the next couple months, and start getting it going. And it'll increase and improve the service we deliver to not only Uptown, but Sedona and the Village of Oak Creek. So I'm really excited about that. The other thing we were talking about earlier is we've got a radio system that is antiquated, and we've been working to update it. It's a problem all over Arizona. And we partnered last year with the city of Sedona to improve our police and fire radio infrastructure. So that's another project. And these are bigger dollar projects, but we're purposefully moving towards improving the services we're delivering to this community. And to give you some insight to our radio system for any techies in here, some of the equipment we use for daily operations in Sedona have state of Arizona inventory tags on them, because we bought the stuff 30 years ago because it was used from state surplus. And so that it's not they want fancy new radios. It's the stuff's dying. We have a radio room in West Sedona, and the fiber optic lines come into this weird box that looks like it's from a 1960s sci-fi movie. And it converts the signal so that the literal like operator plug-in wires can convert to fiber optics. And so we're replacing it thanks to our board's support, and it'll be very nice. But those are the two big projects we've got going on in the district now, other than daily staffing. And then we're working on evaluating moving the station in Oak Creek Canyon. That's the last big project right now that we're focusing on. And people have asked, well, why move it? Many moons ago, we were a primarily volunteer organization, and this community really did a lot to support the district, donating land, letting us borrow stuff, things like that. Well, our Station 5 in Oak Creek Canyon, we only own half the building. And the owners of the other half of the building have asked that we evaluate leaving and, and rightfully so. I mean, if I owned commercial property with 89A frontage in Oak Creek Canyon, I'd want to do something with it too. So, those are our big ticket things that we're doing, and then continue with recruitment retention. And, we're -1 employee right now. And, other than that, we're fully staffed. So it's pretty fun. But please, questions. You were first because you had your hand up first.
Well, I just wanted to comment and say how grateful I am because a few weeks ago, about a month and a half ago, my husband fell in the village and this group arrived within 7 minutes to help my husband who could not get off the floor. Got him in the ambulance, and I cannot thank you enough.
Oh, thank you. Well, and I appreciate that because this is the fluffy political, high level stuff. But the best thing about being with my job is our business card is our service delivery. And I've got 5 stations times 3 shifts, every day, going out there and just providing excellent service. And it's good to get feedback like that.
Amazing.
Ed, you should ask everybody how many people in this room have used. There is.
That would be a HIPAA violation potentially.
It's our choice.
Right.
I appreciate that. All right, you're next.
There are 2 small ones. So if we were to call 911, that goes to your area, it goes to the police. I just want to understand the flow of where does that go, or what is it that we're actually calling to initiate services? That's
Did somebody plant you?
no.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. I have an answer and I don't have an answer.
Okay.
And so to answer your question, the receiver of a 911 call is a public safety access point, a dispatch center, a PSAP is what it's called. In Sedona, the PSAP is the Sedona Police Department. And then in Cottonwood, it's the Cottonwood Regional Dispatch Center. The fire district is dispatched through the Cottonwood Regional Dispatch Center. Now we also have a PSAP in Prescott, and we have a PSAP with the county. And then we have a PSAP in Flagstaff. So it's getting better, but it generally, whatever your cell phone pings as the best tower, sometimes your phone call will go direct to the Cottonwood Dispatch Center. Most of the time it'll go to the Sedona Police Department Dispatch Center, and they'll ask a few questions and then kick it to Cottonwood. And so that's a story for another day. There is a collective energy at the county level right now. They just did a multi-month feasibility study for communications in the county, and it's part of why we're pushing to upgrade our stuff. And the hopes are that we can reduce some of that movement.
Okay.
And it's
all right. And the other
part 2.
The part 2 is, do you have the training and or equipment to handle EVs and electric vehicles? Because putting out fires related to that is different than putting out regular fires on regular cars.
We do, and the best tool right now is water, and the EV firefighting market. It's like every other niche market you can put in there. And right now, everybody that manufactures anything that has to do with firefighting is coming up with some whiz bang tool to put out EV fires.
Right.
And like we just purchased some blankets, and it smothers, but now they're doing more UL testing, and they might create an explosive gas environment, these blankets. So dang it, that one's not the best one. Then they have this super fancy nozzle that the firefighter runs up and slides under the car, and then they hit it, and then it pokes through the battery, and then you spray. There's a bunch of stuff on the market right now. So short answer, yes, we have the tools. We're always evaluating better tools, but the biggest tool that we have to put them out is water. And we had a Tesla fire in Oak Creek Canyon. Not brand matters not. It's just that's what it was, and it was about 16,000 gallons, 1,000 gallons of water to put it out.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So yikes.
I just figured more people around here already are, and it's more visible, and I knew it was an issue. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Chief Mezulis, I got 2 questions. The fire wine brochures that you guys have,
Mm-hmm.
gotta get those out to more people because I'm a realtor and I see people with their trees right up against the house all the time. And that explains stay 5 feet away from your house with your bushes and no tall tree.
Help me help you. We look at every way possible to distribute that documentation.
Yeah,
And like I said, countless events this year, hundreds and hundreds of pamphlets out in the community. And we just had a Firewise training at the station. And we had I think it was 12 realtors from Sedona take the class. And so
Yeah.
If you can think of other ways we can get it out, tell me, because we are hitting it from every angle we can. And to tag on to you, we like to get neighborhoods involved with the Firewise. But if you're in a community that is resistant, an HOA or a neighborhood that is resistant, what we found is if we can get one home in that community that wants to be the example and show that it doesn't moonscape your yard, let me know, because we'll work with the one person that's interested in doing it.
okay, how many water trucks do you have in Sedona VLC? Because if you're in an area that doesn't have fire hydrants, you gotta use those water trucks to get the water to the fire.
Yes.
How many water trucks?
So all of our fire trucks carry 700 gallons of water. And then we've got 3 water tenders, they're called. One in the canyon, one in West Sedona, one in the village. They all carry 2,000 gallons each. And then back to the dispatch question, we have a division chief that manages our run cards, they're called, and it tells dispatch what to send to what area of town. So say, for example, it's off the loop roads or up in Oak Creek Canyon. If there's a report of a fire, the water trucks or water tenders are dispatched right away. And then in addition to our 3, we have Verde Valley and Copper Canyon that are on our run cards. So they'll automatically be sent to us. So initially we can have 3 water trucks there, and within half an hour we can have 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 or more water trucks. And then what they'll do is they form what's called a shuttle, and they locate the closest hydrant, and then they just start doing a shuttle system so that they have a constant flow of water.
Right, and there's one for high school, there's a hydrant after you're on the loop road, you come and refill there.
And then there's some hydrants down off I just lost the name of the road. It's off of Loy down there. They changed the name of that neighborhood.
Oh, there's a hydrant down there on the loop?
Yeah, there's a couple down there.
Okay, Knox boxes, since most of us are old in here. Talk about Knox boxes.
Old is not a good word.
I'm just saying, if you're living alone and you fall, the fire department can't get into your house, so.
Correct. So we've got a Knox box program, and if you contact our front office Monday through Thursday, they'll connect you with our community risk reduction office. And what it is a little box, and only the fire department has the key for it. And then inside that box, we'll put a house key if you so choose. And the pricing just changed. They went down some, but we do have a program to help offset costs for those that can't afford it, but they're relatively inexpensive, and we'll come out and mount it right by your front door. But it allows us to just have access to your home, because the alternative is, and we still have this happen all the time, dispatch will dispatch us to a medical emergency, and then in the notes that we get on our computer, it says, he is under the red rock by the mat. And so Knox box is much more efficient. I know how to get into most houses in this community. Did you have another one? Okay. Yes, Madam Mayor.
It goes to, of course, a little bit of Forrest's question about EVs. And we're building a parking garage, and there's been some questions about the safety of having chargers in the parking garage.
You don't say.
I know that you have inspected it. So could you talk about that?
Yes, so I don't have an opinion whether it doesn't matter to me whether you like the parking garage or not. I'll start with that. Just like the APS lines in the village, that became my issue as the fire chief a couple months ago. I had no control over APS installing power lines in the village, and nor do I have any authority. They'd laugh at me if I tried to say anything about it. Parking garage, Yes, there are some folks that are really concerned about the EV charging that's going to be on the ground level, street side of the parking garage. Some citizens have been very vocal, and so I went with our fire marshal last week and did the inspection. I know nothing about how to do inspections, but he's very kind and he taught me some stuff. And I can't tell you this, the city and their contractors are building everything to all the applicable fire codes that are currently recognized. And in fact, there were a couple of discrepancies with what our fire marshal wanted and what the sprinkler manufacturer had spec'd for the parking garage. And they had a representative on site to immediately note those changes and make those changes. There's no buck back, no anything. It's a great partnership. But as it relates to the EV chargers, plugging them in doesn't blow them up. It's what we see with electric vehicle fires is the battery capsule is punctured in some fashion. Oak Creek Canyon is a great example. Why? Because you get all the rock falls and you get a low center of gravity car and you get a big red rock kicked under there and it's going to puncture that. But the parking garage as it stands right now is going to be sprinklered to mitigate those fires. And it's just sometimes we get micro focused on particular issues, but if you look at the totality of the data, parking garages across the country aren't blowing up with electrical vehicle fires. And while it is a potential risk, the parking garage is going to have all the mitigating currently required tools to keep those fires under control.
We have a question on Zoom.
Yes.
I know a voice coming out of the.
Well, she raised her hand and I was like, how are you doing that?
Michelle Lambeau wants to know what's the difference between a fire chief and a fire marshal.
Oh, great question. So by statute, I have the authority or my designee to approve codes as it relates to fire protection and safety issues and things like that. Fire marshal is really my appointed expert on all things code because the code books are substantial. So a fire marshal and our community risk reduction division, their primary responsibility is code enforcement and plans review and approval of fire suppression systems for residential and commercial structures. If we got a solar farm out 89A, they would be responsible for inspecting that. If we have a remodel in the community, they're responsible to make sure it adheres to code. The state has passed down requirements that we inspect all the schools and government structures in this community. And so that's what a fire marshal does. If you can think about it more simply, our fire trucks and ambulances are the reactive piece of our organization, and the fire marshal is intended to be the proactive piece of our organization.
Thank you.
Yes.
I actually have a couple questions, but I'll start with this one. How much work do you do on the wild lands around here? How much do you do on Forest Service land? Or do you get called to help in other locales with issues going on?
All of the above. So all of our firefighters, all of our operational staff are trained to the federal standards. It's called National Wildfire Coordinating Group Standards, NWCG. And it's not unique to us, but it's not standard of practice. But at Sedona Fire, we do all the annual physical tests and all the required training to meet federal standards so that we can be a better partner to our Forest Service folks. We've got 3 trucks that are specifically built for wildland firefighting that we can staff if needed, and they're smaller pickups that can get back in the forest. We also have a cooperators agreement with the state of Arizona and the feds. And what that does, to oversimplify, is if we have large wildfires in Arizona or in the Western United States and the resources are getting drawn down, they'll call and request one of our fire trucks. And so we just spend all your taxpayers' money to send our trucks to Washington to fight fires. I'm joking. The cooperators agreement, this is how it works, to oversimplify it. It states that the state or the feds want to rent one of our trucks. So they pay a daily rate And then they will cover all the wages of those on the fire truck out on the assignment, and they will cover all the wages of those staffing the stations here to support our service here. And so to give you an idea, we budget about roughly $500,000 a year in wildland revenue. And we don't tie that to maintenance and operation, because some years there won't be a lot of fire activity and it's 150,000 that we get in revenue. And some years it might be upwards of $1 million. So we keep it at 500 as a placeholder. And that's, like I said, we don't earmark it for maintenance and operation because it fluctuates too much and we don't want to depend on it. But what it does afford us the opportunity to do is this is a relative term, on good years, bad years for fire, good years for response, we're allowed to have those dollars, and then the board can say, okay, let's kick that into capital. And in the following budget year, they can say, let's reduce the mill rate because our capital's ahead of where we wanted it to be, or keep the mill rate flat. And so it's a potential opportunity for us to offset taxes, property tax assessments. And so, yes, we do work with the forest a lot, and we do a lot of forest firefighting. Our assistant chief is the fire district representative for the Western Fire Chiefs Association, and also does a lot of federal level work with policy and procedure. Right now, he's heading up a committee that's looking at how to retool how the insurance companies evaluate your home for fire protection and insurance. And so he's a big part of that. Then we've got a battalion chief. Actually, right now he's in Phoenix as we speak, presenting to the Arizona Burn Foundation how to manage fire and burn injuries in the wildland and urban interface, because his name's Todd, and he was actually on the committee that developed the new standards for medical response nationally for how we handle medical emergencies out in the wildland, out in the forest. And so we call them the green guys. A good majority of our hires the last few years are green guys, meaning they came from the Forest Service. So we have extensive experience with forest firefighting. Now, the reason, say we just have the fire out in the village, everybody's familiar with it. The reason why we came by and said, hey, how's it going? Do you need any help? And we didn't take it over is because it was just outside fire district boundaries in the forest. And the problem that's occurred in the past is people that don't understand that work for fire districts want to champion the cause for their community. And the minute Sedona Fire says, we got this fire, that means we have the totality of the fire. Those aircraft that cost $1,500 an hour, we pay for that. You pay for that now. The helicopter that's $1,000 an hour, yeah, we get the bill. You pay for that now. So I can remember the Bronco fire. We tossed the ownership of that fire off to the Forest Service like a hot potato. Now we're there 100% to support them. And in the first 12 hours, we work to help them out. And then they get that cooperative rate agreement going. And if they want to keep us on the fire and not bring other resources, then they start offsetting our costs or your costs, if that makes sense.
And then, like Linda, I wanted to thank you. I called the fire department no fewer than 3 times for my late husband for broken bones in a fall. Each time he did break something.
Oh.
And the fellows who responded, first of all, said, if you're ever in doubt about whether to call the fire department for an emergency, or you see smoke somewhere, call. Absolutely do it. And you do not resent it. You are glad to be of service wherever you can. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. And my last question has to do with, do you hire for looks? Because are hot.
I appreciate that. And I want to be clear. We call our folks firefighters because we do now have crew women in operations, and it's pretty cool. Except for Maddie, she was a risk, but she's turned out all right. I'm joking. She's super young, and I have a teenage daughter, and I've gotten to the age where this employee of mine, this professional young woman, she does the TikTok dances and stuff like my teenage daughter does, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I am getting older. But no, and she's a fantastic energy for our organization because our organization went career in like really shifted from volunteer to career in the late nineties, early 2000s. And most of our senior management and our captains that run the fire trucks are aging out, as we say. They're hitting 25, 30 years. So to get some of this young energy into the organization is really fun. And we don't have a hotness criteria for hiring. But we have, 5 years ago, we'd throw out, hey, we're hiring firefighters. We'd get 150 applications. We'd saunter in and figure out. This last test that we just hired 3, we had 12 applications.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
But what we have done is we have invested time and energy into purposeful recruitment. We've got guys engaged with the college academy and the fire science training and in the high school fire science training. And we try to hit up every recruitment event. And one thing that I'm excited about is every hiring since I've been the fire chief, and I think I've hired upwards of 20 people, not because I'm on a hiring spree, just it's how it worked out with retirements and everything. Like this time we've got a Red Rock graduate. Last time we got 2 Red Rock graduates. The one before that, we got another Red Rock graduate and a Mingus graduate. So my point is while we're not getting the numbers, we're hiring quality youth that was born and raised in this community. And it's no secret, there's a piece of Sedona that's become less community and more commodity. And I personally feel like I have a responsibility to, as an organization, as a local employer, to provide that opportunity to folks that care about this community. So that excites me because our employee demographic is really shifting towards living in Sedona or closer to in the Verde Valley. So it's pretty neat. So they'll keep it alive. We've got our firefighters are on the PTO boards for the schools. They coach locally.
Oh, wow.
They're on a bunch of committees. And so we've got a battalion chief lives in Uptown. He's on the school board. So they're involved and they're local and it's fun. So no hotness scale. We'll go back. Oh, yes. Sorry.
I have a question, something that's been, I don't quite understand. I've owned electric, gas, hybrid plug-in vehicles for 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And never have I ever thought of there being a fire. I mean, I've had 2 of them. The last one I had, the cage got broken because of rock and it didn't start a fire.
Mm-hmm.
You just couldn't charge it anymore until you got it fixed. So is there a big issue with EV fires? Because I just plug it into my outlet, my outdoor outlet at my home. And
the biggest nationwide, the biggest EV issue is off-brand scooters and bikes. And just Google New York City flat fires and what they're doing in New York City. They'll bring these bikes and these scooters into the vestibule in their row house. And then these off-brand batteries, that's the biggest electrical EV battery fire risk in the United States. And so I'm not going to get into the politics of why maybe EV car fires have suddenly become a thing. There is relative risk, but it's no different than you getting in a T-bone accident on 89A, in my opinion. Yes, sir.
With the new $1 million water tank there in the chapel area, are we getting more water hydrants?
Where's the $1 million one?
Well,
Because I only know the $6 million one. $1 million a bargain. Oh, I could talk about that water tank. It has vastly improved water pressure and redundancy for that corridor for us.
We're not going to get any extra water hydrants, so.
I would have to check. We are, whenever there is new development, our fire marshal gets with the city. And for example, some of the multi-use path work, our fire marshal met with the city and we're like, hey, if you're digging this up, we can put a hydrant here and here and it'll do this. And so they're constantly working on it. I can't speak specifically how many hydrants that's going to improve, but more importantly, sometimes than more hydrants is and you'll never not notice it now. When you drive around town, you'll see the top of the fire hydrants are different colors. Now I just ruined you because now you're going to start looking everywhere. But that color is a quick look for us to know how many gallons per minute we can expect out of that hydrant. And so what that system will do will change the color of some of our hydrants. So it's just, which I would argue is as important or more important than having more hydrants, because, it's like, you're drinking from a garden hose or trying to drink a Wendy's Frosty out of that straw. It's impossible. You got to use the spoon. And so, yes.
A couple of things I always found educational when I learned them. One had to do with the reimbursement for ambulance costs, above and beyond insurance, and how residents are treated one way and tourists or visitors.
There's two classes of citizens.
Yeah, and I thought, wow, most of us don't know that. And the other one was that the mill rate is, you're authorized for so much, but you'll use as much as you need, but you don't max out your mill rate.
You are so good. So to answer his real quick, it per the statute, so we have a statutory rate we have to charge for ambulance services. We can't have a graded scale. We have a mileage rate and we have a flat rate for ambulance transport. If you are a resident of Sedona, if you're a taxpayer in Sedona, we bill your insurance company and then we write off, or we don't balance bill the remaining balance. So if it's $1,000 and your insurance covers $200, you're not getting an $800 bill. And that's for residents. Now, tourists and visitors, we go full boat. And that again is another strategy to offset costs for providing service to our visitors and lessening the impact on our residents. And then part two of your statement was the mill rate. In Arizona recently, the assessed evaluation is called the mill rate, and they use your assessed evaluation divided by multiplied by the mill rate, divided by 100, multiply the mill rate. In Arizona, you can, as a fire district, you can vote, the board can vote to go up to $3.75. We are at 27594 right now. So we're $1 under the cap. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything to anybody because it didn't mean anything to me till I learned it. 1 penny in the assessed evaluation for Sedona Fire and our tax base is $85,000. So that being said, we've got the capacity to go up $1. So, 8.5 million. If the board says, hey, let's spend more money. But our board is very conservative as it relates to the budget. But that's a fun fact I like to throw out there is 1 penny is $85,000. So if you see the mill rate go up, well, how much more does that mean? And it's
and a lot of other fire districts around the state aren't in such good place.
No, so Prop 115 in 2014 capped how much assessed evaluation control hugely hurt. This was a state level legislative decision, hugely hurt fire districts. And a few years ago, they decreased what the percentage commercial property pays. And so put more of a burden on the residential property. So there's two things that really heavy hit the fire districts. There's 144 fire districts in Arizona. A majority of them are closer to that mill rate cap. And there's 5 of them this year going out for major bonds to support their operations. We are fortunate. We have been very conservative and our rate was a little bit higher than we needed for daily operations. But as I stated, it's because our board wanted to put a little bit away the past almost 10 years so that we don't have to bond. Madam Chair.
I wanted you to grab the opportunity to educate our visitors and friends here on why the cost can be so high. Specifically, I'm thinking of fire trucks.
Oh, no, I would love to. Thanks. You guys are killing me with the great lead-ins. So in 2022, we ordered a fire truck and it was $740,000. Same exact truck to the bolt right now is 1.1 million. Our bond in 2016 for Station 4, we had bonded right around 4.5 to 5 million to build Station 4, and the bond failed. That is not the price today. It is more than double that. And commercial property right now, there's the Maricopa County price, and then there's the everywhere else price is what I'm learning. And commercial fire station manufacture or construction right now is between $750 and $1,200 a square foot. And it's cardiac monitors, the heart monitor that shocks you.
Defibrillators, right?
The defibrillator, they were $30,000 10 years ago. They're 75 now. It extraordinary increases in costs, and and the other thing is here's the kicker. And I should cover up my representing the district. It really frustrates me. So during COVID, the investors consolidated and bought up fire truck manufacturers, and really it shrunk them down to two with some parrot puppet companies underneath. And if I order a fire truck right now, money's not an option, not a issue. We'll get it in 4 years.
What?
Yeah, 4 years right now. Ambulances are 2 years. So that's why.
Amazon?
No. Here's the other thing. Now I'm going to get political and make a bunch of people angry. So most of the manufacturers require you to pay up front, and they're changing that model because they're getting a lot of pressure from Congress right now and the firefighters union. But historically, you have to pay in full up front, with a caveat that this isn't guaranteed maximum price due to the possibility in the next 4 years, materials might change. So there's one major manufacturer that's sitting on $4 billion of taxpayers' money with trucks in their queue. And I don't know, conservatively, probably say it's earning 3%, 4%.
Oh my God.
So they're earning interest earnings on your money. My money is 200 million per year, and they can't give us a guaranteed maximum price. And it's frustrating. Yes.
That's obscene.
What country are these trucks being in?
All in the United States, all manufactured in the United States. Yes.
Speaking of money, there is a Verde Valley Fire District bond
Yes.
that some people in our area, not the city of Sedona, but others, are able to vote on November 4th.
Yes.
You may have seen something like, there's an election on November 4th. They don't pertain to Sedona, but one is for school district and the other is fire district bond. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Chief Johnson with Verde Valley Fire is doing it has issued a bond request to go to the voters, and they are in a different situation financially than Sedona Fire, but they have the same almost to the dot needs that we do. They have a station that's inadequate in Clarkdale, and then they have a radio system infrastructure that's crumbling. It was built same time as ours. They don't have as many funding mechanisms to get it done, so they're going out for a bond specifically to update some aging stations and replace one that just frankly isn't livable, and then upgrade their communication system. So there's no fluff in their bond. There's no nice to haves. It's all critical infrastructure stuff that they're bonding for, and it would be a huge help to that. Clarkdale, Cornville, and downstream actually benefits Sedona and Sedona Fire, because if our partnering resources that respond to this community emergencies have like equipment, then we can better serve our community and theirs. So it's a critical bond.
Do people ever make a charitable contribution to the fire district?
They do, and it is up until 1997, I think. The fire district taxpayer didn't buy an ambulance because they would always do a fundraiser here in this community. That's back when the St. Patrick's Day Parade was on 89A and some other legacy things I'll probably remembers. But it's all over the place. Sometimes people will hand our guys $100 bill in their living room, and we have a whole process for that. And 2 years ago, we had a lady that donated $1,000 and says, this has to go to the guys. You can't spend it on the fire district. And so we have a process for that. And so one of our guys came up with an idea. What if we get a smoker pellet grill for all the stations? And then so, okay, that works. And then the lady was very happy. We had a gentleman, our crews his wife was in cardiac arrest and she survived. And so they were very generously donated $10,000 last year, and it allowed us to move up a purchase of some cameras we used to put a tube down your throat at you. It allowed us to get those sooner because we had that grant funding, and we thought it was neat because we then went back to him and said, your donation is going to help us save more people. So yes, we do get donations sometimes.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I know I talked too much.
No, you didn't talk.
In closing, I appreciate you all. I'll put Helen on the spot, or Al for that matter. If you have anybody that might be interested in being involved with the fire board, they are a wealth of knowledge. We got a year till it needs to happen, but there's a process, and I just really hope you learned a little bit about our district today. And I just appreciate the efforts you guys put into this community. So thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. That was fascinating and we appreciate your being here. When you said that having some people run for office is like pulling teeth, that could not be a better segue than for our next speaker, Sandy Zalecki. Sandy is running, as I said, for LD1, our legislative district, which is huge, which has been redistricted. It was redistricted in 2020 or 2021, 2020, I guess. So that we used to be with Flagstaff. We had a chance of, getting a Democrat elected. The chances since our redistricting, when we are not with Flagstaff anymore, but Sedona is with Prescott, much more Republican, close to a 30-point Republican advantage in this district. So when you hear about these redistricting things that are going on in Texas and California and around the country, this is evidence of that. So finding people to run in a district against those odds is very difficult. We have, as you know, 1 state senator, 2 state representatives. Sandy is running to be one of the state representatives. Right now, to my knowledge, we do not have anyone on the ballot running for the state senate or for the other legislative seat. So if you know people that want to, people say, well, why would you do this? You have a platform, you go to events, you speak, you tell people, you present what your point of view is, what your values are. So it is an opportunity to get the word out. And so I want to thank Sandy for running. She'll speak to us for a little bit, then we'll have a little bit of time for questions. I also want to remind people or let you know that we have postcards here for voter registration. If you have legible handwriting and are willing to write some postcards to unregistered but likely Democrats or left-leaning independents, please see me after this, and I'm happy to give you a packet of 20 postcards. So, and that will help Sandy too. So, thank you very much, and Sandy Zalecki.
Thank you so much for inviting me here today. It's so good to see all you wonderful Democrats out here. How many of you are just absolutely fed up, and I think y'all are, with the politics of the day? Me too. How many radical leftists do we have in the crowd? How many terrorists are going to go to the No Kings rally tomorrow? If anybody's going, I have a guy that's going to be coming out collecting signatures so I can get on the nomination and get on the ballot, and also $5 so I can do clean elections. If anybody would like to help him, he's looking for somebody to help. I drove up here from Prescott. I'm from Prescott, and it's a beautiful drive. I love it, but I've had too much coffee and too much sugar, so who knows what's going to come out of my mouth today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am, why I'm running, and what I would like to accomplish. I have people that say, oh, it's a ruby red district, you won't win. And when they say that, it's like, just watch me. Because I don't plan to lose, and I'll give you some reasons why. Who I am a little bit, I was born and raised in a very rural area of Colorado on a ranch. I'm an only child. So about the only people I saw until I was old enough to go to school were my parents. And the other people that I saw were white Republicans. It's still red, ruby red there. In fact, Lauren Boebert is their representative, so that's how red it is. Now, on a ranch, you learn two things very early. You learn how to work hard and you learn how to clean up messes. So I'm really good at cleaning up messes. I got away from home. I went into the Air Force. I spent 4 years, mostly 60 feet underground in missile silos, working on communications equipment. There again, another dirty job that was pretty difficult. And as a woman at that time, it could be even more difficult. They just opened up the missile fields for women to work in. I was one of 5 women among about 150 men. Now, do you think there is a little bit of security around a place where they launch nuclear weapons? Well, sometimes as a woman, even though I was dressed in a military uniform and I got out of a military vehicle, some of these guys didn't think I was supposed to be there. They pointed M16 in my face. Not something that you want to happen to you. Not a good idea. I wouldn't plan for that if I were you. So I did a dirty job in a in-hospital place in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Grand Forks, North Dakota is not the vacation capital of the world. I got out of the military, got married, had a couple kids, went in, worked down in the valley for Motorola for many years around chemicals. Part of my job was to clean up chemical spills. There we go, another dirty job. I divorced that husband, got another husband. I married my childhood sweetheart. We moved to a ranch in New Mexico and cleaning up dirty messes again. But I guess the messiest thing I ever cleaned up was when my husband died unexpectedly in 2017. I had to clean up the mess in the hole that was left in my life after he died. When that happened, I moved up to Prescott to be with my kids and my grandkids and start my life over again. So I'm very used to hard work. I'm used to cleaning up messes. And the mess that the Republicans have made in our state and in our world, somebody's going to have to clean that up. Why am I running? Several reasons. Number one, for my kids. They're almost 40 years old, but they need affordable housing. They need good jobs. They need schools for my grandkids. My grandkids are 6 and 10 that live up here. They're already shutting down schools. I just read an article where they're now shutting down schools, more schools in Phoenix because of the lack of funding, because it's what's happening. My 10-year-old granddaughter is a diabetic, type 1 diabetic. She's going to be needing affordable insulin for the rest of her life, unless a miracle happens. I want to make sure she has that. We all know what's happening to our healthcare system. That's something to pass out about that big, beautiful bill of his. And we need to fight that. Retirement, it looks like everybody here is either retired or going to be soon. I do not like the fact that they are attacking our Social Security every single day. This is something we paid in. We worked hard all of our lives, and they're attacking what a lot of people live on. I'm a widow. I don't have any other income. That's my income, my Social Security, and a little bit of pension that I get from Motorola. That's all I have. We need to secure that. Veterans. We have one of the best VAs in the United States in Prescott. I like to make sure that it stays that way. So I'm going to fight hard to get on the ballot and to do some things to fight all of this stuff. This is something I just kind of got up like 5 hours ago in my head, so it's not really solidified in my brain yet, so I'm sorry if it doesn't come off quite right. They have Project 2025, right, that they've been doing all since Trump got reelected. That, all that is this thing that's destroying our democracy and putting fresh hell on us every single day. They come up with something new every single day, some new thing to destroy the American people. How about we have Project 2026, where we start to get it back by fighting, coming up with sensible solutions for what's going on. And there's so much. I don't think there's anything that they're not destroying, is there? I don't know. How about sensible solutions for our healthcare? Like I would like to see a cap on insulin so that they can't overcharge on insulin. Being able to negotiate for pharmaceutical prices. Being able to somehow come up with an idea so that they don't overcharge for rent. There's got to be, I know people who own rentals. Maybe there's something that they can come up with. We can come up with in the state that will help cap how much they can charge us and how much they can raise it every single year. Is it in Prescott? I don't know here, I'm sure it's about the same. In Prescott is out of control how much they charge for rents. And we have to work to get our federal and keep our state elected people Democrat. We need to work to get Eli Crane out of office. Send that carpetbagger back where he belongs, okay? Work with Jonathan Nez to get him elected. I have some ideas. I have some ideas on how to do that. This is another thing that I just thought of about 5 hours ago, so sorry if it is not quite solidified in my brain. But like I said, I had too much coffee this morning, so it's going to come out of my mouth anyway. What about if we have some town halls where we invite as many people as we can get to come up here and speak? Like Jonathan Nez, I've already talked with Dr. Ruiz, who's running for superintendent of schools. She has already said she would come up here. And we invite Liz and Wynn and see if they'll come. We can invite Republicans to come to this because it's bipartisan, right? Chances are they won't show up. So we get a chance to talk to some Republicans. Who knows what's going to happen with them, though, after they get the announcement on how much their costs are going to go up for their Medicare or their ACH costs are going to go up. It's some of them are going to quadruple in price, so it's going to be horrible. I am asking for you guys' help. It sounds like you guys are extremely involved. But what I need right now is if I would pass around so you can sign my nomination petition, get on the ballot, I would appreciate that. And get it started. Yeah. And make sure you stay make sure you stay within the lines, okay? Stay within the boxes or they'll get kicked out. I don't get it, but they're very picky about that. Also, I can pass out some other sheets if you want to give $5 so I can get on the clean elections. That would really help. I need people to sign that. I need somebody to maybe help tomorrow get some signatures at the No Kings. And I'm going to need volunteers to help me because I can't do what I want to do without people canvassing, without people calling, without people writing postcards, all those wonderful things that you have to do to win an election. And it looks like you guys are going to be very helpful with that. I also could use a fundraiser. I can get other money until I get my clean elections. Not very much, but I can get a little bit. And every little bit helps. So you can also sign on, it's called equal. And you can go onto my website, which is sandyz4az.com and sign if you would like. Please do that before you forget it. I get a lot of people, I say, if you do that, oh yeah, I'll do it, and they forget. So if you would do that, I would appreciate it. And I will be back to bother you again, so any questions that you have. Yes.
Is there any other Democrats running for your seat? And how many Republicans are running around here?
Okay, what I know is I'm the only one running as a Democrat right now. I do know, you can go on the Secretary of State website for Arizona and look, it's called, Statement of Interest. So that's how many people have filled out a statement of interest. And then you just look for LD1, it'll tell you Republicans and Democrats who's going to run. I think there are 4 Republicans. Wynn and Bliss are running, the ones that are already in the state office, and I think there's 2 other ones that are challenging them. Yes.
Give us some examples of some of the negative things that the Republican competitors running for that office, running for re-election, have done while they've been in office that are good examples of why they shouldn't be there for another 2 years.
Well, one thing I know is 2 of them have funded their campaign through the Oath Keepers. I do know that. They vote basically along the Republican lines, all right? They have the universal vouchers. Have anybody heard of those? For the schools? Where they basically just kind of give people money. A voucher is to give people money for their kids so they can go to public schools, but what they're doing is just giving out money for almost anything that they want to do with it. Take vacations. I mean, my kids need to take a vacation to San Diego so they can get trained on something, and then they give them a voucher for it. So that's destroying our public schools. They've like our fire chief here said, they've decreased the corporate tax rate a lot. They're not overseeing the schools, some of the private schools. I know, I was talking to Dr. Ruiz the other day, and there's a certain school that has had some sexual things going on, and they're not reporting that. They're not digging into that. So that's a few things that I know of. I'm sure there's more.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, Sandy.
Could I pass out these sheets for $5 and have people sign?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, it's very important that I get on for a clean election so I can actually use some of my money,
So I don't know if everybody understands the way the clean elections work. Generally, our candidates for the state legislature, and you can go and circulate those, they run clean because that entitles them to get funding from the state. But in order to qualify to run clean, you need a certain number of $5 contribution. That contribution can be made by filling out this form and giving it to the candidate, or to go on the Secretary of State website. It's called Equal, and DORR is getting ready to put that on the website. So they need, Sandy, how many $5 contributions do you need to qualify?
200.
200 $5 contributions. You can't do more than that. And if you're running clean, there's a maximum contribution that anybody can make to a clean candidate, which is, I believe, $180 per person. They might have upped that. So this is the only way we can help our candidates that are running clean, which is sort of a misnomer because people that are not running clean are still running clean elections. They're running good elections, but only the ones that are relying state dollars, have to get these $5 contributions, so it really helps.
Clarify if you need to have signed the petition in order to give the $5 donation, or they're separate things.
Those are separate
Yeah,
things.
you have to sign the nomination. You don't have to sign the nomination.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what I'm asking to be clear.
Because Republicans can give me $5, but they can't sign the nomination.
Right.
So I can sign this and give
So we'll be asking you to do a lot of signing online at the Equal site, the Secretary of State. Any more questions? Any more discussion before we adjourn? Thank you all for coming. Thank you people on Zoom for being here. We appreciate it. Next month, we have Rich Logus. Rich Logus started an organization called Leaving MAGA. And he talks about how difficult it is for people who want to break away from the cult. And I think it'll be fascinating. We all have friends, neighbors, family that are MAGA, and it's best to know good ways to approach them if you do want to approach them. So next month, I think it's the 21st, the third Friday of November, we will have Leaving MAGA. Thank you all. Thank you. All right.